Thank you for joining in today.
Thank you, Suruchi.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to get started, and it's great to have women as well as a man on this discussion, because I think that brings in a very holistic point of view. Um, to be able to build an executive presence is very critical, as anybody grows inside an organization. But let me start with you, Radhika, maybe. In your experience, what are the key elements that contribute to building an executive presence?
So, executive presence is all about confidence, confidence in yourself, confidence in your abilities, and a lot of confidence all the time. Then it's definitely about communication skills. Executive presence is also about gravitas, that sheer authenticity, what you have, how you really communicate that confidence, and how you can speak with authority, have that credibility, but still not scare people. Another aspect of executive presence is also about being authentic. Never try to, emulate anyone, or, okay, I like this style, let me be like this. You have to be brutally honest about your abilities, what you can do, what you can't do, right? It's definitely about your body language. Like everyone says, right? If you're communicating, it's just less than 10% is what you say, right? 55% is all about visuals. So how you look, what is your demeanor, what's your body language.
Because the second part of it is, while some of these are key elements, and many of you would agree to these, how do you think, you build on a daily basis to build that executive presence?
One thing is, who am I? Knowing myself and my plans very well, that's extremely important. Then I have assurance, right? I'm self-assured, and that shows up in your confidence. That shows up in your authenticity. When you say something, people will trust you. Second thing is building a support system, which is extremely important. Or if I'm in a business meeting, and in the background I'm thinking, has my son been picked up from school? Oh my God, did he eat lunch? That's not going to help me forget leadership presence. I'm not going to have any kind of presence anyway. Networking, so that you create allies, that's extremely important. If you build on these areas, slowly and steadily you get to where you want, right?
Absolutely. Because we all have our own natural executive presence that we can enhance and bring to the table. So thank you for beautifully pinpointing that, to be able to do that, and holistically thinking of what do I want to bring out, and hence what are the steps. Now I'm going to come to you, Varun, because you're going to be, you are watching this from the other side of the table. You must have seen a lot of women, who probably bring that great executive presence, and then there are some who are not able to do that. But regardless, what are your observations, your learnings? How can women cultivate on a daily basis this executive presence, which is critical?
I think, Sonal said it, Radhika said it. Number one, I think all of us are on our own journeys, right? So you have to be comfortable with that. Could be a guy, could be a girl, but ultimately you have to decide for yourself, where you want to be at the end of 40 years, 50 years. I mean, careers are going to be that long. No one single job can actually make or break a career, right? There are enough and more opportunities available to people to bounce back. You can have a blip, but you always have the opportunity to bounce back. So I think that toughness of, knowing that, one wrong decision or one wrong choice is not the end of me. So just visualizing your own career, how you want it to, shape out. I think once you have that in place, is where, Sonal's point about building out a network that can actually help you get there, fits in beautifully with that. Everybody needs to invest time. You need time for yourself, for your own mental growth. Unfortunately, in the day-to-day, you're just caught up with day-to-day, week-on-week, month-on-month. So every now and then, just pause and, just take a step back. Look at, are things working out largely directionally where you want to be. So if I have to prepare for a meeting, with my board here, I prep for it. It's not like I'll walk into the room and suddenly, own the room. I have to do a lot of reading. I have to do a lot of study. I have to know my own numbers like the back of my hand. And then questions, answers, responses. So I get a lot of confidence because I have prepped hard. And, the same would apply for anybody else as well. There's no substitute for that.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you. I think varied, aspects coming out of here. And I want you to talk about your personal journey of building executive presence?
Especially if you are in that journey of you're building that confidence in you, confidence in the public speaking, confidence in your building up that executive presence. So a lot of times this opportunity would come and you will give yourself 1,000 excuses. Oh, this is coming up, I have to do this, I have to do this. Just say yes. So early on, maybe I'm talking about 10 years earlier when I was with Sony. And of course, I was heading talent management. Because of the brand Sony, nobody knew me, but they knew Sony. So a lot of opportunities would come by for, L&D summits, this summit and that summit. And I felt I was not prepared. But any opportunity came my way, I would say yes. And then the clock will start from there where I'll prepare. And like everyone says, there's no substitute to hard work. You really have to practice and make sure that those opportunities, you are able to build that lasting impression. So people, there'll be definitely along your journey, you'll have such people whom you feel that, they're good in what they do and they command that respect. So have those mentors, have that constant communication with them. And then go ahead with having your own style again, right? Again, you don't have to really replicate, but have those partnerships with people who can help you build this up. The important thing here is how calm and composed you can be in stressful conditions. Something goes really wrong, a team member commits a blunder, and is your first response shouting? Okay, or let's say you are in a board meeting and something, a difficult situation has come up. Do you feel nervous? Do you sound nervous? Do you start giving excuses, or do you start blaming others? So how do you create that? How do you compose yourself? How do you stay calm? There could be so many things happening inside you, right? But if you are in that journey of executive presence, that positive executive presence, if you're executing, you have to stay calm and composed. And as an executive or as a leader, even if there are no answers, you have to stay put.
Absolutely.
A lot of times I've seen people, they would want quick answers. And the answers are not there. And a lot of time there's no white and black. There's a lot of gray.
Yeah.
So how do you adjust with that gray also adds to your executive presence.
Absolutely. How do you build your executive presence to be able to, because like we've all acknowledged, your executive presence is both internal and external, to be able to deal with situations like this, because they are going to exist. And a big part of it, I think, is about dealing with failure, dealing with, like you said, one bad decision, one off thing doesn't. What are your thoughts on this? How, as you grow, or have you grown, in your career, have you learned to deal with these kind of situations, and how has that built your executive presence?
I think, Suruchi, I am somebody who used to be extremely short-tempered, right, at the beginning of my career. And then I became a trainer, and I realized that, there's a room of 20, 25 people in front of me. Not everybody will have, the same kind of learning aptitude. And I really can't be, what I am in my personal life, I can't necessarily carry that into my professional space. So my training stint during the early days of my career really,
helped you.
Just brought down my short-temperedness to zero. But I think one thing that everybody really needs to be extremely, mindful of is being mindful and being present to the situations which are, coming up around you. And you really need to, as a leader, you really need to exhibit that calmness. There could be, 50,000 things running through your mind. But you can't necessarily, project that nervousness or that, short-temperedness, whatever you may want to call it, or that reaction. Because, again, Radhika touched upon this at the very beginning, right? A lot of what we say is not words. The way our hands are getting used, the way our facial expressions are getting read. So just like, as a speaker, you need to read the room is also reading you all the time, right? So our teams can actually get a lot of confidence, or can, be like, okay, this person has no clue what's happening. So might as well, step away and, figure out something on our own. And that's really, not something that uh, uh, is going to serve you well at any stage.
Yeah.
Now, how do you really build that out? I think different people have different, approaches to, just keeping their cool. There are just decisions that you take in that moment basis whatever information is available to you. And that is something that, has stuck with me for the longest time. Okay?
Yeah.
That, hey, even if a decision turned out to be a bad one, knowingly it was not something that you would have taken.
Yeah.
So you have to, also be kind and forgiving and, make peace with that in your mind.
Absolutely. Any particular aspect about your executive presence that you have worked over the last few years, or which has changed, just by the circumstances that you have been, that you would like to talk about?
So for me, I think perception, right? How I would do my work, right? And so I was there even for the WOW conference, right? I would do my work. Not excellent at marketing. I would ensure that I get things done, right? And I was very proud of it, saying, if somebody wants to get something done, they talk to me.
Yeah.
But what I realized is much later did I realize I'm not the one who's talking to anybody, right? So people only find me when they need me.
Correct.
So if there is an opportunity that's out, chances are it's not even coming to me because I've not spoken about what I want, right? Or for that matter, I have not worked on managing my perception, or rather carving out my perception.
Yeah.
Right? They possibly know she can get things done, but what else can she? What else can I do? Right? What do I really want to do? Or I wasn't very focused on how I am getting perceived. Right? Over a period of time, that's definitely something that I've worked on in the last 4 to 5 years. Is not just network, right? So network with an intent, right? Network just not because you want to be known, right, to each other, but with a focused intent. And second thing that I've worked on is managing my perception, right? And because end of the day, it is somebody else's perceived reality, right? Also, what gets created as a perception flows everywhere. It flows to your team from outside, even if they know you very well. It flows to your leadership. And end of the day, every decision about you usually gets done when you're not in the room, and it's your perception playing for you.
Yes.
Right? The opportunity you get, the promotion you get, the hike you get, right? Everything gets discussed in your absence.
Yeah.
And at that point of time, yes, absolutely, whatever you accomplished matters. But along with that, how do people perceive you? Do they see you as somebody who can take up something more, or they continuously see you too occupied? Or do they believe that you can instill confidence, you can inspire people, and you can also give the confidence to the leadership that things will move greatly, right? That trust.
Yeah.
I noticed that perception needed to be worked on, right? And so for the past 4 years, I think I have dedicatedly, with an intent, invested time, right, in ensuring I network, and at the same time go ahead and ensure that my perception is correctly managed.
Absolutely.
That's something that I've given enough time, and I've invested in that for a long time.
And highlighting.
If I may just add on to
Please.
what Sonal said. I suffer from this a lot. Right?
Yeah.
I tend to keep a very low profile all the time at work. But something that I think has worked for me and to my advantages, and then at Xiaomi now, and even in my previous company, day zero when I joined the company, with my manager, with my boss at the time, I would tell my manager, hey, I'm going to keep my head down and work, and it is for you to manage the entire perception around me.
Yeah.
You will not find me, taking or just asking unnecessary questions all the time. But if I have something relevant, and if I think it's going to ruffle a lot of feathers in the larger room, then I'm going to have a private conversation with you. I will share with you what I honestly think about it. I will make sure that you definitely get, my perspective on a particular, topic.
Yeah.
But there will be, more than one occasion where I will not be, talking during a meeting. So whatever views I may have, I will share those privately with you. And if you think, and the more controversial the view, the more private.
Private.
So, let me just tell you, in a big meeting, if everybody's saying a lot of things and I'm quiet, then chances are I have a extremely polar opposite, point of view. So let's check in after that meeting, and I'll share
Absolutely. No.
what I think about it. But that's just one way of trying to make sure that
Yes.
my manager and I are absolutely aligned, and my manager understands my way of working.
From each one of you, at a junior level, 2 to 10 years of experience, women, at mid level, 11 to 20 years of experience, and if possible, if you would want to give, from whatever you've seen, for senior women leaders, what are some of the, maybe 2 tips that you would like to give to at each levels, wherever you think you could come up with, in order to, on a daily basis, practice to be able to build a great executive presence. You can take time to think about it. I know this came out like from a Pandora's box, but I think we'll have some. I've had a very a lovely conversation. There's so many different aspects of executive leadership that run so deep through, apart from some of the perceptions that people carry about executive leadership that I found. So would love to take 2 tips from each one of you at whatever levels you think you can give.
The 2 to 10 years women, right? Frankly, at that point of time, most of them don't have a lot of what would I say, responsibilities with them,
Yeah.
right? And take that leap. Just take that leap, right? That's a point where that's a time you can make mistakes.
Yeah.
You can restart all over again, right? There's a lot to learn, and you have a lot of time on hand, right? So just go ahead and take that leap. Don't keep thinking, am I going to look too ambitious? Am I going to come across as too aggressive? Maybe you will, and somebody will tell you, hey, this is not working fine for you. You'll course correct, right? It's okay to make mistakes. So just take that leap. That's extremely important, right? And again, take care of yourself, even if you are in that time, right? Even if you're taking that, I'll tell you, right from the time of at that period, right?
Yeah.
Right, and the middle range, extremely important that you build a support system, right? Very important, because that's the time you're working, you're creating something for yourself, and that's the time there is a lot of that's riding on your shoulders. So you end up not building a support system and killing yourself, right? So that's touch wood. And I had a mother who constantly told me, you need a support system, and I built it, right? So be it personal life, be it professional life, so have a great support system and have a very fantastic friend circle or a network that you will go back to, right? That's extremely important. And the second thing is invest in yourself. Again, invest in yourself. Go back to school, learn something, train yourself out. That's very important. The last lap that you're talking about, right? I think at that point of time, a lot of women have reached where they want to, or maybe wanted to. They don't know whether that's what they wanted. So at least at this point, pause, look at where you've reached and where do you want to go next, right? Planning everywhere or having a vision is extremely important. And I felt that in the last year, saying, hey, have I put a vision for myself? Correct. Do I know what next? Right. So, and I started building on that, right? So that's one. And support other women who are coming through.
Yeah.
Right? It's a different sense of fulfillment altogether when you're giving somebody else who was in your situation a hand and ensuring that you're pulling them up to yourself. So for me,
okay, for junior folks, I think I'll be quick. Don't be too keen to impress. Right. So I've seen a lot of people, they are fresh from college or just very little experience. They will not understand the situation, and sometimes, and especially if they are ESTJs, people like me with those personalities of being really extrovert and saying things and impatient, so they'll just go ahead and say a lot of things, and sometimes that may show a lot of immaturity also. So don't be too keen to impress. Your time will come, and choose those right moments and be prepared, be well prepared. In terms of mid-age women, I think I completely agree with what my fellow colleague was saying. One is, of course, take care of yourself and have a support system. Another one, which is very important for women, is please don't be guilty.
Varun, your thoughts?
I think, early days of your career, like Sonal said, there is the right, being lucky also involves, not just being at the right place at the right time, but also saying yes. A spin on what Sonal said, right? Take the leap. Make sure that you are saying yes to the opportunities that may be presented to you. Don't overthink too much. At the same time, from a business perspective, you need to know, irrespective of where you are, how does your job, your role, the work that you do contribute to the big picture.
Yeah.
And you really need to build out deep specializations in at least 2 to 3 different areas. I think, and that again, this is true for anybody and everybody out there. No longer can any of us very comfortably sit on just one deep area of specialization. We need to really, have deep specialization in at least 2 to 3 areas, and also somewhere have that agility in our minds that what I may be an expert today may not be relevant, by the time I get to a mid-career professional. So just continuously, refreshing, going back and relearning, and also, being very open and flexible to learnings, through the course of your entire career journey. Specifically for women in, the mid stage of their career, I think investing in those networks really would be, very, very important. Senior women, I think, fundamentally, women are much better, more holistic thinkers than men, hands down. They're able to visualize problems with a 360-degree view, and men are unfortunately not able to do that. So given that they have enough and more experience under their belt, and they have a good, holistic view of a problem statement, of a business scenario, I think just, not staying quiet and, putting that out there, cross connections between different industries, macro environment, and how it essentially is impacting, day-to-day work in a company or something along those lines. Those are perspectives, and those holistic views are, something that, senior women can definitely contribute a lot, to their company, to, the overall family structure that's there. And that just needs to be verbalized and definitely needs to be shared. Last but not the least, for women, irrespective of where you are on the spectrum of your career, just be you, right? My daughter, 4.5-year-old at the time, told my wife, right, that Mama, I love you because you're you, and I cannot love anybody else because they're not you. And I think that just, sums it up for me, that each person is unique, and each person is a sum of all the life circumstances and all the experiences that we've had. So you don't have to, look down upon anyone else or yourself for that matter. You just have to take a lot of pride.
No, amazing. Yeah, thank you very much. I think, some of those key things that have come out of this podcast to me is, being able to leave a lasting impression, not necessarily commanding a room, to be able to be well prepped, practiced for a great, outcome in a desired forum, being mindful and present in, stressful situations, not beating yourself and being too harsh on yourself, because that's what gets truly built inside as an executive presence, and more importantly, I think visualizing your career, your success, and before all of this comes, to be able to find time, to be able to go through and figure out what is it that you want to be, where is it that you want to get, are some of the key highlights. Apart from how Sonnal mentioned, being able to manage your perceptions, either in private or in public forums with very responsible leadership. Thank you, all three of you. I thoroughly enjoyed this podcast. The team is going to now work in, putting this together, and then soon it will get published on the Sincerely Suruchi channel. But really appreciate you guys taking time out, and look forward to continued conversations on the topic.
Thank you, Suruchi.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.